starts this business. 1 year later, in 1994, I had the opportunity of meeting Dave in Texas at a trade show. Won't go too deep into that story, but with that carefrontation that Dave did with me, completely changed my life. Picked up from a small town in Texas, moved to California to lock arms with this visionary with such a big dream to change the world. It changed my life, and those changes were so profound, like I just couldn't keep it inside of me. I was 19 years old, I was 20 years old, and what a wild ride we've been on.
So her boss was an herbalist, was a naturopath. She ran an herb store. And Amy had worked for her for a number of years, and she invited Amy to the trade show to expose her to the nutrition world. And I started talking to her, and I have to tell you, the way that my brain works, very few people could follow me and process what I'm saying and answer intelligently. I don't, just because I'm a little bit crazy. Here I am talking to this girl, and I'm talking about these high-level concepts and my dreams and my passion, and she's getting it. She's totally getting it, every word, everything. For the next 6 months, we spent hours and hours and hours on the phone, till 2 o'clock in the morning, just talking. For hours and hours and hours. And I'm like, would you come help me run my company? And thank God she said yes.
Living with my parents, going to college. I moved out to California. I don't know if anybody, I know there's at least one person from Texas here. Well, in Texas, you still wave at people, you smile at people, you say hi. So I moved to Long Beach, California. And if anybody's been to Long Beach, California, there are some areas that, well, we could just call it.
We'll just say if you listen to hip hop, you know a little bit about
Long Beach. You know a little bit about Long Beach. So
LBC 213.
So here I am. I started community college in Long Beach to finish working on my school, and I'm going through the Pacific Coast campus, which is a little bit. It's right there on PCH, and I'm saying hi to people, and I'm smiling. And
do you know all those athletes that come out of the inner city high schools, like from that area? It's exactly the neighborhood that she was going to college in. A little different than small town Texas.
A little different, but it was amazing, and I loved it. And then someone said, you know, we don't say hi to people here. We don't wave at people here. So just keep your friendliness to yourself. You don't want to get in trouble. But so anyway, what an amazing whirlwind of an experience to move to California. And I was so blessed because I had never gotten
I have to interrupt you and tell the story. I got a fun story to tell. So Amy's fresh here from Texas, right? And we're like in Long Beach, Compton area, and she's at the grocery store. And she notices a family in front of us, right? And it's a black family, and she goes, oh, you guys are having a fish fry, aren't you? And they're like, yeah, how did you know? She goes, I'm from Texas, that's what we do, right? You got everything you need for a fish fry. And they're like, would you like to come? I mean, see, so being nice, it's contagious.
It pays off. Absolutely, get some hush puppies there. But I was so blessed because when I met Dave, so let me just tell you how small town I was. I had never been on an airplane, okay? When I flew to Austin, Texas, which happened to be the time I met Dave at a trade show when I went with my boss, that was the first time I was ever on an airplane.
But so, look how she's flying now.
And so I moved to California, and literally, I would say 40, 45 weekends out of 52 weeks a year, we were on an airplane, and we were going city to city to city, setting up these booths here, Actually, Michael Mazes was out there as well. He was setting up booths right beside us. And little did we know we'd be working together now. And
everybody thought the world was about to end, by the way. There was something called Y2K, and the computers couldn't calculate 2000 because they had been built, you know, before imagining the year 2000, I guess. And so everybody was sure that the world was going to end on like December 31st, 2000. Amy and I were out there going to trade show to trade show saying, the world's not gonna end. But if it does, you better have some Purium.
You better have some of this green powder stored up. So it was incredible, it was amazing, it was tough. Traveling weekend after weekend after weekend.
Working Monday through Friday, then getting on a plane and working, standing on your feet all weekend at a trade show, talking to hundreds of people.
And selling one bottle at a time. Imagine that, selling one bottle at a time. We were so excited if we could sell a case of our green powder at a time. And, selling at these trade shows was really important because we had to make payroll when we got back to the office. I mean, times were humble and times were lean.
The cash we brought back from the trade show was what we used to pay our employees. That's what she's saying. It was that tight.
It was that tight, but we had a dream. We knew that these products changed people's lives in profound ways. And
people started to notice.
People started to notice, and a person that started to notice, her name was Sandy Corlett, and she had an organization called the Diabetes Resource Center.
And she said, do you know, I've been using Purium with my diabetic clients, and do you realize how amazing it is at stabilizing blood glucose? And I said, funny you should ask.
And so she leaned into us, we leaned in with her. We got a seal of approval from the Diabetes Resource Center. It was a safe, FDA safe way to say that our products could help someone with support, aid and assist someone with blood glucose issues, and man, the lives that changed.
So I gotta tell a story. Who remembers an old host on TV called Donahue?
Yes.
Well, Donahue had a guy on his show who was the #1 expert in alcohol recovery. And he said, we are now having double, triple success rate with alcohol recovery because of this new thing that I discovered. And he held up a bottle of our product. And he explained that the blood glucose needs to stay within a certain range, and if it goes too high or too low, then you have issues, right? Hypo or hyperglycemia. And he said, when you take this green food, it has this way of holding your blood glucose within that steady range. And it's when you get a carbohydrate craving that you attach it to your craving for alcohol. Without the cravings, your willpower increases 75%. And that was our product, you guys.
Yeah, pretty amazing. The life-changing stories that happened. Well, we were...
Who's that guy?
We were working on these trade shows, we were selling products to other people, we were having products, and, we were not making the kind of impact that we knew that was in our heart that we were called to make. And as we shared earlier, we met Nelson Rogers, Debbie's father, and he said, and Ian is in our ear all the time. And we said, you know what? Let's do this. Let's take the quality of product that we have and let's put it with the very best business model where we get to know the people that are out there sharing, whose hearts align with us, who have a similar vision, passion, and purpose to change the world. And so this idea to launch into network marketing was born in 2003.
Now, you look at our very first catalog and look who's on the cover.
That's baby Amy.
The reason is because what you don't know, and Amy didn't tell you, and I don't want to embarrass her, that when I met her, she had severe acne problem. And in her whole life, her parents didn't spare an expense. They took her to the best dermatologists. They got shots, they got sprays, they got pills, they got potions. They did everything. It did not help her acne. I'm talking to her on the phone, because remember, I told her we were spending a lot of time on the phone, and she goes, hey, does this stuff help acne? And I'm like, oh, you started taking it finally, huh? And she goes, yeah, because she had had it like a month, right? And she took it 3 days, and her acne was going away and gone. And then the scars started to go away. Look how beautiful her skin is. I wanted the world to see just what we're capable of when we eat right. Now, I didn't put a before picture, but believe me, the contrast is noticeable. And we've had so many people who have reported to us that their kids, their teenagers that had severe acne are like devoted to Purium because of that story and because of what it does for you. So I don't want to embarrass you, but
I talk about it all the time.
That's how she ended up on the cover of our first catalog.
So that was our first catalog, 2004. We literally worked for a year. We worked for a year putting these formulas together. I think we worked 12, 14-hour days, nonstop, 7 days a week, because we knew we had to do this. We knew that we needed this business model to get the products out to the people that needed them. And we launched with like 40 products. Most of the products are still in the line today. There wasn't really internet back then. I mean, who remembers 2004?
Dial-up.
We were doing dial-up on AOL.com or something like that. But actually,
Fax machines.
most of our research came from periodicals and books, and we still have the archive files in our office, and it's a year that I'll never forget, the preparation in launching. And we were called Platinum Health at the time, but it's who we are today. We morphed into Purium a few years later after we had trademark infringement, but I'm so glad we did. So 2004, Platinum Health was born. And in 2007, you may recognize him, Eric Nees from The Real World. Dave was friends with Eric Nees. Eric Nees was, Dave, I'm gonna let you tell the story.
Well, Ian calls me and says, hey, do you want a backup project? And I said, we don't got no money. And he said, no, I want you to meet my friend, this guy I met, Eric. He's a little bit famous. And I said, well, who is this guy? Never heard of him. I didn't have a TV. I just was detached from electronics. And he says, well, he has this show, a dance show on MTV. He has the best-selling workout video in the country called The Grind. He's won the Real World Challenge 3 different times. Like, everybody in the world knows this guy. You don't know him? I'm like, nope. But when I met him, we were like brothers from another mother, and he roped me into some projects. And during that time, Eric was really impressed by the fact that I would do these fasts. I was really into fasting then. When Amy, I tell this super quick story. I was a breatharian. I was living on sunlight and air for months and months and months and months, and all I drank was a little bit of green juice to increase my ability to absorb sunlight. And so Eric was really impressed by this, so he wanted to do a fast. So he came up to my ranch, my retreat, and he started doing a 10-day fast. I said, Eric, you're 2% body fat. You can't do a fast like this. You're used to, and he didn't listen to me. 3 days later, his girlfriend Penny calls me and says, I think Eric's dying. And I said, I'll be right there. So I put together some of our carrot juice, some of our spirulina, some of our wheatgrass juice. I put together some of our rice bran. I put like all these things in a bag, some cherry and some aminos, and I drove up to the oasis where he was staying, and 2 days later, he just looked amazing. Now, he stayed on that program for a while, and he goes, Dave, why do I have to open up 12 different jars to make this stuff? He goes, I'm going crazy. One of them runs out before the other one, then I gotta get and so I asked Amy, I said, can we just mix all this together? She goes, what are we gonna call it? I said, well, Eric's just been calling it his Power Shake. So we called it the Power Shake.
So Power Shake is born. You no longer have to carry around all these products in a backpack to do a transformation. So that was pretty cool, pretty convenient, and the start of something really special, our #1 selling product today.
Oh, and by the way, I just spoke to him last night, and he said to tell you all hello.
Awesome. So Eric has success on the transformation. Eric knows a lot of people. Eric and Dave are, buddying around. And so Dave gets the opportunity to work with professional athletes, some of the fittest people in the world, as well as Manny Tiny Yarbrough.
Literally the fattest person in the world.
So,
Manny was also famous. He had been on Letterman, Leno, been all the morning shows. He had, really was one of the most well-known people at that time because he was an American sumo wrestler. He was going to the Olympics, and he would have won a judo medal in Olympics, but he was seconds late for the weigh-in and got disqualified. When that happened, because of his lack of concentration and focus, he literally lost his girlfriend, his manager, his sensei, his trainer, and his friends. Everybody abandoned this guy, and he fell into a depression and ended up at 900 pounds.
Wow.
He was in the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest athlete in the history of the world. Okay? And by the time he got to me, I went to his house in New Jersey, and he couldn't get off the couch. He hadn't moved off the couch in months. They had to bring a pan for him to go potty. They brought him food. He had sores on his feet, sores on his body. You could see this picture of him was after he had already lost 90 pounds, okay? So when they asked me if I'd take care of him, Amy said,
no.
You can't do this. This guy is literally this close to death, and even though you're trying to help him, if he dies while you're taking care of him, it's gonna be blamed on you. And I rarely say no to her, but I did. I said, I have to do this. I need to save this man's life. Well, 6 months later, he was down to 600 pounds. He had lost almost 300 pounds, an average of 2 pounds a day he was losing, and he was in ridiculously amazing shape. Oprah said she was gonna put us on her very first show of the year, and Oprah was #1 then. And then Katrina hit, and Oprah canceled all of her shows and moved to Louisiana. Manny fell into a depression again. And unfortunately, we lost him. It's now the 15-year anniversary of his death. And so I developed what I call the rule of 49s.
Yeah, the rule of 49s is that the other person has to be in 51%.
You can't want it more
than the other person. Sometimes that's a hard lesson to learn for us as caring people, for us as brand partners, knowing that we have solutions that can change people's lives, knowing that we have solutions that can save people's lives, but they have to be ready and they have to give 51%. We can't want it more than they do.
So an example of that is Antonio Wiki. Remember him, he was at one point 54-1 in the MMA. He was called the Python, and no one could beat him because he was the best grappler on the planet. But he was feeling sick and ill, and he was injured, and his wife called me and she says, you really have to work with my husband. I said, no problem, I'll meet with him. He didn't show up to the meeting. She says, please, I'm so sorry, would you meet with him? Would you please reschedule? I rescheduled, he didn't show up. So I scheduled a third meeting, and the minute you walked through the door, I said, hey, Mr. McKee, nice to have met you, goodbye. And he goes, where are you going? I said, I want you to see what it's like to be stood up when you're waiting for somebody. I said, and he goes, I should kick your A right now. I said, I hope you do, because you have more money than me, and I could sue you. And I'll own that car, and I'll own that house. And he's like, no one talks to me like that. And I said, well, maybe somebody should have.
Dave's a little crazy.
You gotta remember, this guy is the Hulk, man. He's just standing over me like, I'm gonna pound you. And I'm like, go for it. I've been hit by bigger guys than you. So we became really good friends. He runs Bellator Fight Club. No, seriously, when he put me on his videos, we can't even play those videos, the things he said, because he likes me so much. But the bottom line is that, he came from Compton, okay? So the bottom line is that Now his son is an MMA champion. His son is a product of Purium. The entire Bellator Fight Club uses Purium. And I can't name all the names, but I can tell you that there is a who's who of the NFL, the NBA, of soccer, and etc. that use Purium products, but they can't go public about it because they get paid a lot of money for the products that they don't use, that they promote.
Exactly. So we've helped a lot of people. We've helped a lot of people through the years. And let's fast forward a little bit. 2012. Who remembers those 10-day transformations? The 10-day transformation was born in 2012. And then very shortly thereafter, the Appleberry Power Shake was born. And, I want to tell a story. We had an argument with the VP of sales. We're like, nope, we're purist. We're not going to flavor it. And then he would be like, but do you want to sell it? And we're like, well, yeah, we want to sell it, but everybody, they just got to drink it and they got to feel how good it makes them feel. And he's like, but if they won't drink it past the first drink, they're never going to feel that. And so we went back and forth for several months on
Let's
this.
just say, kicking and screaming, I was pulled into flavoring the Appleberry Power Shake.
Yes. So we flavor the Appleberry Power Shake with amazing all-natural organic flavors. And guess what happens?
Sales grow by 10 times.
Sales grow by 10 times. And we learned a lesson. We learned a huge lesson that
But where they are.
you gotta meet people where they are, because if we could only, at all those trade shows that we have gone to, weekend after weekend after weekend, if we could only touch 1% of the people that were there, or less than 1%, because they couldn't deal with the taste, how are we ever going to meet our mission, our goal, our purpose? And so Appleberry Power Shake was one of the smartest things we ever did.
Absolutely, and it's still our best seller, even to this day. But maybe the most important product we've ever launched happened in 2017.
Yes, so if you know Dave, Dave is one of the most compassionate humans I know, and he looks out at the world and he seeks problems, he sees problems, and his mind doesn't stop until he comes up with a solution.
And I heard about glyphosate, and it scared the hell out of me.
And so Dave worked and worked and worked and put this formula together that our small-scale clinical trial proved could remove up to 75% of glyphosate in just 6 short weeks from the system. And
Now I want to tell you one more thing. It also showed that it reduces C-reactive protein, the biomarker for inflammation. And we know that glyphosate triggers inflammatory responses in the body. We know that inflammation is the enemy of the body. And do you know that if you go to a medical doctor and seek to reduce your C-reactive protein, and it's a serious condition, they'll recommend chelation therapy that costs thousands of dollars and takes months, and they will never come close to reducing it 75%. They won't come close.
So this is an incredible product. It's one of our top sellers, and it is one of the most, if not the most important product in our line to change the trajectory of someone's health.
Absolutely.
So
I'm not going to go into it, but I have a book called The Toxin That Came to Dinner. And you guys, if you haven't, you need to get it. You need to share it. You need to give it away. It's a free download. And it literally is irrefutable when you read what's in there, the dangers that glyphosate pose to us, our family, this environment, and the world. And we have the only proven solution in the world to the #1 problem facing the world. Do you not think we have potential?
we have potential. If you think you've tapped out of your warm market, I'm here to say you have not. Everyone is exposed to glyphosate. So let's fast forward here on the timeline. In 2018, we came up with this funny thing called the 40-day transformation. And then in 2020 with the
And that was just the 10-day with 30 days of continuation to make sure people stayed on the product.
Exactly. And then with the help of Leslie would come to the office once a month and we would sit there for 2 days and we would brainstorm. Very respectfully said, why is it not 30? Could you help me understand why we're not selling a 30-day program? And we looked at each other. It was in December. Leslie was there. She would come like the first weekend, first Wednesday, Thursday, or something like that of the month. So it's early in December. January 1 is coming. Transformation season is coming. And we're like, you know what? We got to do this. We got to make this fit into a month supply, something that makes sense for everyone. And we looked at our marketing department who is sitting there and we're like, okay, guys, we're changing everything.
They're getting ready for Christmas.
We're like, we're changing everything. No more 40. We are shifting to 30. And it's got to be done by January 1, which because everybody closes down for Christmas, it had to be done in 2 weeks. So thank you so much to Debbie and all the marketing department for leaning in with us, making that bold move and switching to a 30-day ULT, Ultimate Lifestyle
And if you've been
Transformation.
paying attention, you will notice that we started in colored bottles and realized they couldn't be recycled. So we switched to white PET plastic, which was the most, not yet, I'm jumping ahead.
You're jumping ahead.
I'm jumping ahead again.
So now in 2024, we're so excited. We debuted our 90-day way. We debuted our lifestyle subscription. And I know that you're very passionate about the 90-day way. Dave, do you want to take a second and share?
So there's a couple of things in play that are really important for what we do. And one of them is the science that says that in order to create a healthy habit, or any habit, whether it's good or bad, that if you consistently do something for 90 days, there's a 99% chance you're gonna do it on the 91st day too, okay? It takes 90 days for something to become the new normal. We just had a baby, and for 60 days, our eldest daughter was so jealous of the new baby. By day 90, she didn't even remember what it was like before we had the new baby. And I'm not joking, because 90 days is a magic number, psychologically, physically as well. They work together. And we realized that if we really wanted that retention, if we wanted long-term success, long-term residual income is built on long-term retention. And we want that for you, and we want the success. So the 90-day way is real. If someone commits to a 90 days at Purium, they will most likely be using that product 2, 3, 4, and 5 years later. And that's what we're trying to create, is consistency, so that we can have lasting results.
Absolutely. And earlier this year, we debuted 2 new amazing products, again, life-changing products as well, that are so complementary to the ULT, and that is Pineal Clear. Who here has used Pineal Clear and loves it?
Who used it this morning?
Love the Pineal Clear. And who here has tried Menopositive? Yes. Ian, have you tried Menopositive? Okay.
No male metapositive for over there.
Okay, awesome. So as you can see, we are innovating, we are evolving, we are growing. It's all about continuous improvement.
And we're not done.
And we're not done yet. We're here for our 2024 celebration, and we're just so happy you're here with us. And you know, I like quotes. Most of you know I love quotes. And so this one, when you have a dream, you've got to grab it and you never let go. Well, that was Carol Burnett, but it's so appropriate for all the ups and downs we have been through, all the struggles, the strife, through the economic cycles we've been through 30 years, but we have a dream to change people's lives. We know we have the products to do that. We know we have the best business model to get all of you and our entire field behind it, sharing this mission, these products, this compensation plan. This is the way that we are doing this. And because of you, our dream is living. I mean, I'm standing up here today living a dream because of all of you.
And, you know, the reason we have this dream of a better future is because we've seen the nightmare of the past. And we need to start to improve the lives of people who are suffering unnecessarily. And this morning, I was explaining that we're not doctors, that our job is to provide people with the quality of food that will eliminate 95% of people's symptoms and their suffering and reveal the 5% that really needs attention from a medical professional and specialist. But most people are suffering unnecessarily because of the food they eat, because of their diet, because of their lifestyle, because of environmental toxicity and lack of sleep and proper hydration. So the bottom line is we're not doctors. We're not here to prescribe, but we are here to heal because we know it's food that heals. Food is the real medicine, and we'll never forget that.
Never forget that. The quality of food you eat is equal to the quality of life you live. That's a mantra for me. And Purium allows that. Now, Dave put a post up the other day and got a lot of response to it. People say, like, I can't afford Purium superfoods, but I spend $16 at McDonald's. That's totally okay. I spend $5 for my energy drink. That's totally okay. I may smoke, whatever they smoke. I may drink, but it costs too much to get healthy.
Yeah, I can't afford to get healthy because I'm spending too much money getting unhealthy. So this dollar transfer thing is real. We literally have people who start using Purium thinking they can't afford it, and months later they're like, you know how much money I'm saving on groceries? You know how much money I'm saving on my bad habits? It pays for itself.
It totally pays for itself. And our vision, mission, and purpose is to deliver the highest quality superfoods that are accessible and easily consumable on a daily basis, because it's that consistency where the magic happens in your health. And with Purium, when you spend your dollars with Purium, when you represent Purium, when you share Purium, you're buying in to a higher quality of life. You really are buying into a higher quality of life.
And think about that. You're buying a higher quality of life. If someone came up to you, I used to work in old age homes, golden age homes. I used to work with people that were shell-shocked and things, veterans. And we would go once a month and we would throw a birthday party for all the people who were in the home, that it was their birthday. And we had the opportunity just to sit and hold their hand and talk to them. And they thought we were their grandkids or their kids. They were so confused, They just thought we were relatives that came to visit them. And the one thing that I remember thinking is, one man told me, he goes, you know what I would pay to have one day running and playing with my grandkids? You know what I would pay to have one day to go fishing again? You know what I would pay to get up and dance again, to get out of this damn bed and do a polka, And I remember thinking, but it's too late. But it's not too late now for us to buy our future, you guys. We're investing in a future that we don't see yet, and it's the most important investment you can make. It's also the most difficult because we don't see that future yet. But if you could go to the end and work your way backwards and find out where those choices that you made that took you the wrong way, that led you down that path, you would change them if you could. So let's be that visionary. Let's be that person who can see the future and do something today to change it. That's what Amy's talking about.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a listen from some Purium members who have had some incredible changes in their health.
So 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and they told me within 5 years that I would be in a wheelchair. And I had optic neuritis, a lot of pain in my eye, vision problems, and which went into other problems, pain and limb pain in my body, lots of nerve pain. I dealt with years, lots and lots of nerve pain, and I could barely stand and walk at the end of the day. I'm a very active person. I'm a former figure skater, and I hike, and so I am now living symptom-free because of these superfoods and this protocol. I've been doing this about 2.5 years, and just living clean, eating clean. It's so easy now to eat clean, and I don't have pain. I don't have fatigue. My vision has cleared up. I don't have pain. pain anymore. It's incredible. I'm so blessed. Thank you. And I knew something wasn't right. I had a huge knot on my neck. Being that my mom was a 2-time cancer survivor, of course, my mind automatically went into panic mode. After running many tests, getting many biopsies, I found out I had a thyroid condition. But I still was left with no answers, no preventative measures, and no game plan. From that point forward, I started doing research. And every year I would get biopsied only to find that these growths were getting bigger and bigger at a rapid speed. I continued to do research, try to make as many adjustments as I could, when finally I was introduced to Purium. I was so happy to find a company that had a program that aligned with all of the research that I had been researching for the last 7 years. And after starting the program and finally getting a good biopsy report and having a game plan for my health, and now being able to help other people to have a game plan for their health has been so priceless.
Purium because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And since I have been on the program and with this community and this business, I have been able to drop the extra 19 pounds I was holding on to. My hormones are balanced. I'm not bloated anymore. My digestion's on par. I don't have any more skin issues. I'm excited about life. And I don't have this underlying anxiety. I feel more connected and expansive. I feel like I can really show up for myself, for my community, my family, my friends, my business partners. And I am so, so grateful this came into my life because I've also been able to share this with the people that I love. And I'm watching not just my life transform, but everyone else's around me. And thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be a part of this.
Voice on the other end of the phone uttered test results that left me scared for my life. I already suffered decades of debilitating hormonal issues that left me more dysfunctional with each passing day. My whole body felt extreme pain and chronic inflammation, mental fog, and no short-term memory, and the reply doctors gave me was experimental drugs, birth control, surgery, and taking out the very system that runs my body as a woman. I knew there were better answers and wanted to get to the root of the problem. Thankfully, a trusted friend told me about a real solution that aligned with everything I learned and believed in. This pure foundational nutrition transformed my fear and loss of life into joy of waking up every day refreshed and to feel energized to learn more about who I am, not just survive. I found so much joy and serenity to be able to think clearly and retain warm conversations with loved ones and to experience balance hormonally, emotionally, and physically.
So many life-changing stories. So let us know who here in this room has experienced a profound change in their health since they started using Purium. I know I have. And we also want to celebrate because I want to say, like, I just finished the 90-day weight